This is part 2 of Sail Trim for Speed. In this episode, we're going to talk about the main. In our previous episode, we went through setting up the fairlead, which is the jib sheet traveler car for the jib or Genoa. If you haven't seen that episode, please watch it first.
The mainsail is a little more difficult to trim than the jib or Genoa. It has several more controls which overlap in their function. In this video, we're going to concentrate on just a few controls. We're going to focus in on the boom vang, the main sheet, and the traveler. In another video, which will be the third installment in this series, we will cover the tensioning of the main halyard and the jib halyard, and also using the tensioning of the backstay to get mast bend and how that affects the sails. Before trimming the main, one has to trim the jib or Genoa first, using the technique that I showed you in part 1 of this series. There are two principal ideas that we want to keep in mind as we're trying to trim the main. The first is that we want to attempt to adjust the twist of the main so that it matches the twist of the jib. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to visually see the twist of both the jib or Genoa and the main at the same time. For me, it's even more complicated because I have a fractional rigged sailboat, which means that the jib or Genoa attaches lower on the mast than the main. This is an example of a masthead sailboat. Notice that the jib or Genoa goes all the way to the top of the mast. Whatever type of sailboat you're sailing, the best way to determine the correct twist is to use the streaming tailtails on the leech of the main. The primary way to adjust the sail twist of the main is to tighten or loosen the main sheet. As you see here, as I loosen the main, the boom rises. On my boat, I have an adjustable topping lift, which allows me to adjust the height of the boom easily. If you don't have one, you can use the traveler to do the same thing. First, loosen the main sheet so that the boom can rise vertically. Then slide the traveler over so that you can bring the boom back horizontally to the proper angle to the boat. In this side-by-side comparison, you can see the difference in sail twist from a low boom on the left to a high boom on the right. If you need to reduce twist and you can't bring in the sheet any tighter, then you can use the boom vang to pull the boom down. When the leech tailtails on the main stream back at least 50% of the time from the top to the bottom, then you know you have your sail twist correct. Our next mainsail trim challenge will be to adjust the main so that we create a channel between the jib and the main sheet that has the most optimal flow of air. Because the jib or Genoa is ahead of the main, and because it has a much finer entry because it doesn't have a big thick mast like the main, the airflow has less turbulence and therefore can accelerate very quickly. If the gap between the main and the jib is too big, then the main cannot take advantage of this additional airspeed. If the gap is set too small, the luff of the main, the front part of the sail close to the mast, can get backwinded. To adjust the gap between the main and the jib, we use the traveler. We do not want to use the main sheet because that would change the sail twist. The ideal setting for the gap between the jib Genoa and the main is when the main sheet is just about to be backwinded. However, if it is slightly backwinded every once in a while, it isn't going to hurt anything at all. If you run out of room on the traveler and the main is still being backwinded, you can always ease the jib sheet. In summary, after we have adjusted the sail twist of the jib, we can adjust the sail twist of the main by adjusting the boom up and down and watching the ribbon tailtails on the leech of the main. Then we adjust the gap between the jib and the main until we just don't have any backwinding of the main.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you wish. And also check out CaptainLang.com for a complete list of all videos.